What do you want to see in movies that you're not seeing besides
I
yourself?
feel like that was so funny. Oh my God.
Hi, I'm Leo Finelli, and you're listening to Generation Change.
We're taking you to Hollywood this month for an interview with Zoey Luna. Zoey is a girl with a story to tell and so much on her plate. She's a Latina transgender actress, advocate, and personality. She's made appearances in films and TV shows such as Dear Evan Hansen, Pose, and her first break at only 16 years old in Rosario Dawson's directorial debut, Boundless. Zoey cemented her position in this career by landing one of the 4 lead roles in Sony's The Craft Legacy. Zoey and I talked about her acting career, the challenges she's faced, and what she'd like to see in TV and movies.
Nice to talk to you today.
It's nice to talk to you too.
So, I looked on your IMDb page and I found that we were both born on July 23rd, 2001.
When? Oh my God. Where were you born?
Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
I was born at 4:28 p.m. local time. Do you know what time you were born at?
Yeah, I was actually born at 4:15 p.m.
But
Pacific.
so I am older than you by just a little under 3 hours. Wow.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what jumped out at me when I saw your IMDb page.
We're both Leos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me about where you grew up.
I grew up in Downey, California. I lived there for many years. I grew up my entire childhood there. I lived in Linwood for a little bit, and yeah, Downey was whatever. I actually had a lot of problems there, but yeah.
And why did you first want to be an actor? What made you want to be an actor?
What made me want to be an actor, I think, was just the fact that I had grown up alone with the TV on mostly, and I had just seen all these amazing performers, and I just knew that that's what I could do. And I knew that I like to imitate people and dress up and do fun stuff like that. So I just was like, you know what, this is what I want to do with my life. Any opportunity that I got to perform, I was just like, okay, let's do it. So yeah, I just really had a desire to be performing all the time. That was kind of the root of it.
But you first gained recognition from the documentary Raising Zoey. What was that documentary about?
So I like to consider that documentary more of a loosely based concept of my life. It was about a mother's journey of understanding her transgender child and being able to provide, resources for that child. And it was like a champion story about a cis savior, and her navigating all of that. Yeah. So it's just about my mom trying to figure out how to raise me.
Do you feel like that documentary exaggerated a few things or got a few things wrong for the purposes of drama or profit?
I don't feel as though, I know that firsthand I didn't make much profit, but I think that it was, I think my youth and my story was extorted, and or maybe not extorted, but I think that it was taken advantage of in the ways of there was a lot of things that weren't accurate. I had a very traumatic upbringing, and all of that was hidden under wraps because someone wanted to sell the narrative of a loving parent going out and supporting their child, which is not really what happened. I think it was very exploitative. I think it was very it was completely fabricated. My relationship with my mother to this day is a very toxic and dramatic one. And I unfortunately had to go through a lot of things on my own that no one really knows about. So it wasn't very accurate at all. But yeah, it was definitely, I think it was important to see what it could look like if there was a supportive parent involved with the transgender child's upbringing. But I don't think that that was my story.
And what was the response to that documentary from the general public?
Everyone loved it. They all thought my mother was this great hero who was just so lovely and so supportive. And people were happy to see a supportive parent, quote unquote. That just wasn't my parent, but that's what everyone assumes. So.
And then you appeared in another documentary that was about your quinceanera. What was that like?
That That one was super fun. I mean, I didn't even think I was gonna get to have a quinceañera. So a quinceañera, for those who don't know, is a Mexican tradition that happens when a girl turns 15 years old, and it's basically to symbolize her becoming a woman. And so for me, that was super exciting to get to do because, you know, I had grown up and I had seen all of my friends have quinceañeras, and in the back of my mind, I never really thought I was gonna get to have one, but I got to have one, and that was super fun. I mean, it was a lot of work, to be completely honest. I mean, my mom is never the best under stress, and I think there was probably, you know, maybe some underlying issues that she was going through centered around me getting to have one and her not. And so there was a lot of expectations that I felt I had to perform that I was never going to force myself to. So it was really stressful because, you know, I wanted things my way. She didn't think that was possible, and then when it was like, oh my god, like she's actually getting to do it. But if she gets to do it, she has to do it in the way that I wanted to do it, and I was just like, I don't want to do it that way. And there's a lot of little details that you have to go into forming a quinceañera, but I mean, it was all fine and dandy. But I'm glad that the documentary makers were able to splice together the best parts of that experience, because it was a bumpy one for sure.
Your first professional acting performance was in a short film called Boundless. Who was your character and what was the story about?
So the character I played in Boundless, her name was Liz, and the story was about three young girls who are extremely gifted in the tech world, and they have a science fair coming up. And you know, to this day, I wonder what school they were going to. But somehow these three girls formulated this experiment, this thing. It's like a hologram projector, and basically, it was a really cool concept. And so they make this dope science project, and there's this boy that wants to basically get the project, so he blackmails my character and is like, I will expose the fact that you're trans, I'll expose secrets of your guys' friendship and where you guys come from, and if you don't give me the project, I'll ruin your guys' lives, basically. So my character, who cares about all of us, is like, you know what, like, I want to protect all of our identities and all of our privacy. And so I give up the project willingly because I, just want to keep us safe. And then we reclaim our power and we fight up and we stand up for ourselves and we get our project back. And, at the last minute, it's time to present a project. And Liz is just a really caring little girl. She was probably 14 in that story.
And were there any elements of this character that were added to the character after you got cast in the role? Because I've heard that's something that sometimes happens, that once an actor gets cast, the character is changed a little bit to be more like the actor.
I don't think much of that went into play when we did that. I think everything stayed pretty much true to script.
And then you were in the remake of The Craft.
That one was super fun. I mean, I had gone through an extremely hard year leading up to me booking that role and getting the audition process. So that was such a reward and such a blessing. It gave me a lot of hope for my future. And it was pretty fast shooting. We only filmed for 2.5 months, and then we did some pickup shots later on during COVID, actually. That one was so dope. I played Lourdes. She was a trans teen witch that got kicked out by her mom. And she lives with her abuela, and basically she represents Earth, the element of Earth, and she is a very caring, very silly, very loving best friend to Lily, the main character. And she is just so down to have community, especially since she did not have much of that when she was growing up. So she's just a very loving, supportive, smart young girl who is there to bring everyone together ultimately and stand up to injustice. So I could relate a lot to her.
I'm nervous about saying this on the air, but I think I read somewhere that your mother eventually did actually kick you out too.
Yeah. So that is the hard year that led up to The Craft. So it was almost like I always see everything as like a positive twist. I always see the silver linings and things, even if I get upset at them for being there, because I want to respect my feelings. But ultimately, a year leading up to me doing the audition process to The Craft, where I would play a character that got kicked out by my mother actually kicked me out. So I had all of the background experience and I was totally capable and ready when that role came up. So yeah, my mother kicked me out because I didn't want to continue to push the narrative that she was forcing me to promote in these documentaries, because she wanted me to continuously say that she was the most supporting, loving mother who loved me for who I am and not just a service, or not just because I was trans. But at the end of the day, when it came down to actually being there for me psychologically, supportively, and as a caring person, that was not the case. And I don't think there's any way that she can honestly fix what's been broken. I kind of have just learned to, when I need to, put aside my issues if I feel that I need to be there for her. But ultimately, yeah, there's a lot of abuse that I went through with her.
And where did you go? And where'd you go when you had nowhere to go?
Yeah, so my ex-boyfriend, he let me stay with him, and then that was kind of messy. So I ended up going to my friend's house, and then going back to my ex. And so it was my ex's house, my boyfriend, my ex's house, my friend's house, and then my ex's house. It was back and forth. And then eventually, after the craft, I was 18. So I ended up moving back in with my mother. And so the manager that I had at the time, she was like, "You're not going to live here. I'm going to make sure you get out of there. And I'm going to put you in an apartment." And she put me in an apartment for 3 years. And that was also a tricky situation. So now I finally have enough money and I'm living in a studio in LA. So it took a while, but yeah, I eventually now am in my own place. And I think I got the adult thing taken care of.
And have you found belonging?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely found belonging within myself. Do I necessarily say I know what I'm doing in life every day? No. And do I feel as though I have a lot of roots into things, into this world? Not really, but I definitely feel as though I do have a community. I'm living the way I've always wanted to live, and I do feel like I belong here with myself. And yeah, I do feel like I belong.
When recently you made a cameo in the movie Dear Evan Hansen, what was that cameo?
So I played Layla. She's the head cheerleader of the school. She's the it girl, the popular pretty girl that was most definitely probably going to win prom queen if they ever covered a prom queen scene. So yeah, that was super fun. She was amazing. I loved getting to play her because my favorite thing to do is when I play a very smaller character, I feel like I have a lot more agency over their motivations and what they do and how they feel. And so getting to kind of create a world for this character who was only seen for probably a total of 2 minutes was so much fun. And I took it so seriously. And I was a little embarrassed about how seriously I took it, just because everyone on the cast was like, "Zoey, you're in this for 2 minutes. Like, what?" But for me, I really like to perform, and I really like to act, and I really like to live as other people. So that was really fun to do.
And you've even recorded a couple albums of music. What style of music and what do you write songs about?
So that is probably a misprint. I haven't wrote a couple albums. I started writing a concept album a while ago. It's unreleased. The genres vary. I don't stick to one type of genre. There's rap, there's R&B, there's almost like some gospel ones on there as well. That is still in production, and I'm still taking my time with that because I want it to be absolutely right. But I do have one fully finished song that I want to go in and remaster in a second. But yeah, that one's a rap song that is very honest, to say the least.
So you rap.
I rap, yeah.
So you're very talented. What challenges have you faced as someone with a public presence?
Definitely the challenges that I've faced as a public persona is the fact that there's a lot of people that will see someone that knows who they are, knows what they want to do, and can see their talent behind them. And instead of seeing a human being alongside of that who does not want to be a product necessarily, or the challenge that I face is that when people have tried to market me or try to get me for certain things that they think I'd be good at, they don't always align with my values and my morals and who I am as an individual, which is a person that's ever changing every moment. And the issue is that, they'll pretend like they know who I am and what I'm about, but then try to market me in a completely different audience that I would never try to sell to, because they're thinking about the money, and they're not thinking about, okay, I know how to market her for what she's good at. They're thinking about, I know how to take a person that seems really talented and turn them into something else to get the biggest bucks ever. But for me, I really love to live authentically. I love to post about the silliest things, my opinions, my ideas, and I've learned that staying true to who I am is the reason that I've stayed here. And when I do the opposite of that, I kind of feel like dipping. So yeah, that's been the biggest challenge, is meeting people that can see me for what I'm good at and respect who I am as an individual, and still continue to work for me and not ask and expect me to change any parts of myself to be better for a certain job.
I feel like that's the case for me too.
Yeah.
What is something you've changed your mind about over time?
Something that I've changed my mind about over time actually has been kind of something that I've been dealing with for the past 3 years, which is the way in which I want to go about my career as an actor. I really like to play characters that I like to play, and I really enjoy performing. That's the whole reason why I wanted to do this in the first place. So for me, being an everyday working actor is not the career that I necessarily want to participate in. I'm a person that believes what's meant to be will come through to me regardless of any situations that I'm in. And so for me, overworking myself every week and randomly having an audition that's due the next morning when it's like 8 p.m. is not the most humane experience to put myself through. So I've decided that basically, instead of trying to be a working class actor, I'm going to continue to know that I love to act, but I'm more in the type of field of like, if there's an audition that I get from my agent that seems really amazing that I really want to do and pursue, I'm going to take it and I'm going to audition. But if there's just a role that I don't feel the most excited about, I'm not going to waste my time and waste the casting director's time and send in a lukewarm audition because I want to just do as much as possible. I basically changed my mind on the way in which I conduct myself as an actor. So yeah, I had to remember that I am a human being and that I cannot be expected to have 8 emotionally devastating crying scenes a week and hear nothing back, and then get a movie deal from someone that just saw me on Instagram and was like, hey, do you want to be a part of this? We're doing this. So yeah, I've changed my mind about how I want to conduct myself in this industry.
How do you take care of yourself?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, I think I know how I take care of myself. For me, taking care of myself looks like going to bed, drinking lots of water, going to the gym. The gym really helps me out with all of the endorphins, and I feel like when my body has been in one place for too long and hasn't had a lot of movement, I feel like I'm probably a pop star at heart because I really like to sway my hips and move and do crazy things. So working out at the gym and listening to my 2000s music on repeat really resets my entire life, my vibe. So whenever I'm feeling slumped, I definitely go out to look for movement. So I work out at the gym, I take breaths, I probably draw, and I drink water. And yeah, that's what taking care of myself looks like for me.
What are you up to right now, and what's next for you?
Yeah, I definitely want to see myself in places that I never thought I would see myself at. So like one day I hope to be walking down the streets of LA that I walk down every day, and on the ad campaign poster, billboards or whatever, I'll see my face there and it'll be a movie that I'm starring in, or it'll be a campaign that I'm in. And not because I'm such a whatever, but more so just because that's always been a dream, to see myself on like a billboard. I definitely see myself in a Marvel movie. I really want to play Jean Grey. Or, I mean, it would be a dream to play Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man. That would be honestly everything. So Gwen Stacy, Jean Grey. I'm definitely going to be releasing my own movies. I'm working on my own movie for the first time. I'm writing it, directing it, starring in it. The directing part is a little up for debate still, but that is something that I hope to be doing as well. So yeah, I'm going to be writing my own projects, creating my own shows, starring in a lot more movies, and definitely performing a lot more. I'm definitely dipping my toes into the nightlife of LA, and probably be releasing music soon. So yeah, that's kind of what's coming up next.
What else haven't you done that you'd like to do?
Okay, I really want to die in a horror movie. That is something that I really want to do. I want to be the dumb blonde who is screaming for her life and gets stabbed brutally a bunch of times. That would be my dream. I would love to be half naked running around somewhere. with like a very brooding, tall serial killer chasing after me. That's just such a fantasy of mine. And I hope one day I can watch myself do that. And that would be everything. So yeah, I definitely want to play a victim number one in a horror movie. Also, I definitely want to do something like romantic. I want to do like an Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That would be great. So yeah. And also I probably really want to see myself have a really good relationship for the first time ever. That'd be nice.
You've talked a lot about movies, and on that note, what do you want to see in movies that you're not seeing besides yourself?
I feel like that was so funny. Oh my God. Definitely, I want to see, I feel like there's a lot of queer coding in movies and a lot of race coding in movies. And I feel like I want to see stories that I see myself in actually having me in. And whether that be me as an actor, play the characters, or just the storylines, you know, instead of them being covered, instead of all the main characters being covered and played by cis, white, heterosexual actors, I would love for these stories that are very similar to the trans experience, POC experiences, LGBTQ experiences being played out by actual people like that. I feel like a lot of my favorite movies are movies that I can deeply relate to, and I feel like in a lot of ways they do cover my experience as a POC LGBTQ identifying person. And so yeah, I would love to see them just basically stop beating around the bush and actually getting straight to the point. And yeah, that'd be nice. I think I have more issues with the audiences. I feel like it's really unfortunate that I feel like certain people don't appreciate when a studio or when, you know, yeah, a studio or production is kind of taking a different route than they've expected. I would like for some more understanding from audiences.
Well, I absolutely loved sharing this conversation with you, Zoey. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Have a good day.
I really liked how Zoey created an entire bio and backstory in her head for her several-second bit part in Dear Evan Hansen. It reminded me of how, sometimes when I'm watching TV commercials, I come up with entire bios and backstories in my head for the characters in the commercials. Not only are Zoey and I birthday twins, as we talked about at the beginning of the episode, but I really relate to her as an artist, writer, and creator myself. When Zoey said she wasn't in it for the biggest bucks ever, I thought, I feel the same way. When I get creative, it's a pure labor of love. I'm not in it for the big bucks, and neither is Zoey. She wants to tell her story as an example for others. She has survived her difficult experiences and created something beautiful.
Generation Change with Leo Finelli is hosted by Leo Finelli, executive produced by Julie Finelli, and edited by Nick and Leo Finelli. Our original music was composed and performed by Leo Finelli. Thank you so much for listening.